cool. All right, the master is in the house. We are going to get a lesson in calling a bull elk. JK, you have the floor, sir.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Tell us how you do it, what you use, why you do it, and you know the drill.
Yeah. For the most part, elk are all the same in the sense that they have one thing in mind.
Are you talking about male mentality again?
You betcha.
Okay.
That's all they're interested in. And quite frankly...
So they like to fish too?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you have to think about when you're out there is what stage are they? Like today when I was out this morning, we left the cabin at about 3 o'clock this morning, and we called till 10 to 6. And you could tell that they're at the stage right now where they do what they call an advertising bugle. That's just simply they shout it out. I'm here. Hello. Hello. Anybody here? And so they're very susceptible to, they don't want to start fighting with each other at this point because there's no point to it. There are no cows that are in estrus yet. When they hit estrus, all bets are off.
Oh boy.
If you have a hot cow, you can have as many as 10 bulls in the area all trying to get lucky. And that's where success for an archer comes in. But when you're calling, what you have to understand is you have to diagnose where they're at what stage of the rut. You can harvest bulls in what they call the early stages. You can harvest bulls when they're obviously going crazy, and you can get them late stages. And right now, based on what I'm seeing up there, I think that by the time next Thursday comes, if you find somebody who's got a hot cow, you can score easily, and it's not that hard.
Sure.
The weather conditions have been favorable. There is water everywhere, and everything's green and tall. The downside to that is that there is not going to be a cluster of bulls in any given point. So what you do is you have to hoof it. I use Onyx to locate where I'm going to be at all times.
That's a great app.
It's fabulous for me. And I like the tracking device on it because then I can know where I've hiked, where I've looked. And when I'm shed hunting in the spring, I just don't duplicate the same spots again. But for right now, one of the things that I learned, and there's a guy, I call him, he named himself the elk nut, and he's able to basically, he lived with elk for a period of years on his ranch. He had them all the time, and he paid really good attention to them. And then he diagnosed what they did. And he had some philosophies that I adapted last year, and it was probably the most fun elk hunts I've ever been on because we were able to call in over a dozen bulls within 15 yards that my son was he's just simply passed on them at that point because, number one, the first day it was too early in the hunt, and the last day he harvested something that he wanted. So you have to pay attention to it, and I use a variety of different calls. I also use a grunt tube, and one of the things that is most important is raking. I'll take an antler shed that I have with me out, and you don't have to be vocal. You don't have to scream down a bull. You don't have to do anything. If you start raking and just grunting into the grunt tube as you're raking, it perks their interest.
Oh boy.
And then if you do a little cow call, and you do it something like this. Just like that, a little soft one, it gets their attention. And then as you go forward with it, depending on where you're at and how you do it, a lot of guys just go out and they start screaming, and it doesn't do anything for them other than to locate where a bull is. And if he's got a herd of cows and that lead cow hears something, she'll just head the other way, and you're chasing all day. And they got 4 legs, you got 2, and I guarantee you they can cover mountains faster than you can. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're locating a bull, you have to get in close. And a lot of the time, it's not just sitting and shouting at 300 or 400 yards. You want to make sure that you're talking to them the right way. And sometimes when you're bugling, there's different ways you can do it. You can do a challenge. You can do a bark. You can do an I am in your face and I'm coming for you type thing. And it all depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. So those are the things that you look for. And right now, all I'm doing is just advertising. I'm here too. Hi, guys. You're out there. And they call back and they respond. And that's what you want to have.
We have you and your son on the new website, in the trophy room, by the way.
Oh, thank you. We had fun with that one last year.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, we spent 3 days with another hunter trying to help him harvest his first bull. And if he had stayed by my son's side, he would have had two of them at 15 yards. But
Wow.
he was a little bit different. He had a little bit of ADD issues, and he went his own way a couple times, and it cost him. But for us, it was probably the most fun that I've had on an elk hunt in all 35 years I've been doing it up there. So.
Okay, so continue on with your calling demonstrations.
Okay. When you're raking, what you want to do is simply do this. And all the time that you're raking, you do that, and it attracts the bulls that are within 300 yards. They know you're there, and it's like, wonder what he's got going on over there. Wonder what he's doing. And then if you've got what you want to try and convey to the other bull is that you've got a cow you're bragging in front of, you're demonstrating, and you're trying to make her behave, and she's not. And then sometimes you'll bark at her. Like that.
Yeah.
And then we want to bugle. You vary it up. If you're going to do a chuckle, that's usually when you're in the area you really want to know. You want to do that bark when you're trying to get the cow to stay with you or to listen to what you want her to do. Invariably, as with us and women, they don't pay any attention to it. But it brings the other bulls in. So those are some of the things that I use and how I do it. A lot of guys will go out and they just bugle. If you want to sound like the biggest, baddest bull in the woods, if you can practice it and do it all the time, that's great. But when you're in the real world out there, if you're that biggest, baddest bull sounding, guess what? Whoever's got cows, he's heading the other direction.
Yeah.
Wants no confrontation with you. If you're that big, deep-chested guy, I'm not going to get my butt kicked. I'm taking the ladies I have, and I'll see you. And that's what they do most of the time.
Wow.
And then if you had this is a weird call. It's called the Long Ranger, put out by Carlton. It was. I don't know if you can get them anymore.
He's pretty much retired, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what you do is this one I've used, and it's almost like it'll suck anything in that's nearby, and it causes confusion. It's louder than the other ones, and in the woods it carries a lot further, and it's almost like that's a lead cow call. And the difference between that and this, it's noticeable. This is a young cow and wanting to do something. This one is the lead cow demanding attention.
It's almost like there was a stress difference between the two.
Yeah, you can control the stress on the vocals by how much pressure you put with your lips onto so you're biting off the amount of air. And you can do it with all of them. And those things are things that you practice on, and it takes time to develop it. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years, calling elk in every fall. And you develop a sense of timing and when to talk, when not to talk. And the biggest thing that you can do is cause frustration with them. If a bull's frustrated and he's curious, the game's over. And sometimes I'll take a cow call like this and put it up in front of the grunt tube. It gives a different intonation. It sounds like it's a different cow, and it sounds like a bigger cow.
Yeah.
All the things that you can do to change it up. Anybody who goes out and just bugles, or cow calls, they start to pick up a pattern. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be different the whole time. And the biggest thing that we found last year was consistently raking. If you go to, like we have the Arizona Big Game Super Raffle has an Instagram page. And my son used one of the videos he took. I had a bull coming on a dead rope, and he had stopped when I stopped raking. When I started raking again, he was literally running towards us. And my son had 4 bulls who ran past him trying to get to me because that meant chaos.
Okay,
Chaos means opportunity.
All right, stop right there. What is the positioning that you prefer between you and your shooter?
Oh, absolutely minimum 50 yards.
Okay.
We're hunting in thick stuff.
Yeah.
I like PJ hunting. I don't like wide open forests where they do all the pruning and you can see 300 yards. That's a rifle hunter's dream, but it's not reality for us.
No.
In PJ country, if you can get, most shots are within 30 to 40 yards.
Yep.
And that's what we like. And if you take a good example is I like my son 100 yards in front of me, and you develop an affinity. Sometimes he'll peek around his shoulder and he'll have me do this, a little sign language as to what he wants me to do, whether he wants me to rake, whether he wants me to cow call, or whether he wants me to bugle. And he's watching ahead of me. He knows what's going on. Most times I don't even see the shot. This last year I saw him actually take the shot and I watched the bull run and expire. But most times it was one of those rare opportunities where he was literally 40 yards ahead of me, but the bull came on a diagonal, almost creating a triangle. Mm-hmm. And I saw the shot, I saw the bull turn and run, and I knew he had hit it. I could tell by the sound.
Yeah.
Right.
But easily, never have, I can't stress it enough, you have to have distance, because those bulls, they can pick out that sound, and they're going to know exactly where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
They're coming right into that sound. Oh, and by the way, always carry Eleanor with you. Eleanor is a 2D decoy from Montana that they make it, and it is by far the best device that you could possibly carry. If you carry it in front of you like this and you walk forward, they don't mind. They don't spook. They don't do anything. They literally don't count legs. And I've carried it and filmed over the top edge of it.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, all they're looking at is that big tan body with the ears flopping saying, hi.
Yoo-hoo.
Come on. How locked and loaded are we? And at this stage, I was telling Greg, this is like Friday night is the dance. That's your mating season. Well, all the freshmen show up at 7:30. They're all dressed to the nines. They look really good. And they start talking to all the young girls. And then the seniors show up at about 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Yeah.
Guess who they go home with? They go home with the seniors.
There you go.
I had a visualization of 16 candles with Anthony Michael Hall as the geek,
Mm-hmm.
and then up shows a little bit later Jake Ryan.
Yep. Bye. It's hysterical when you see it in person and you watch young bulls get pushed off, because right now we saw one bull this morning who's probably a 280 or a 290 bull.
Uh-huh.
Good body, everything, nothing wrong with him. He was a 6, and he had like 5 or 6 cows rounded up, and he was starting to try and herd them, and none of them were hot. There was not that big screaming, and I bet $1,000 that bull will never ever mount any of those cows in the next 2 weeks. He may try, but he's not going to be successful, and he's going to get his butt handed to him by the big boy.
Okay, that's good information to have from Special K. We're going to flip into a break, come back and get this hour closed out and get on with NASCAR. I'm Don McDowell.
Greg Kruger.
John Koleszar.
And Doug up in...
Oregon.
Where's Doug?
He's in Oregon.
Oregon. Okay, all right. And this is Fox Sports 910. We'll be right back.